Apparently, a 9-year-old girl was banned from her school after she made the decision to shave her head. Caprock Academy was unhappy after Kamryn Renfro shaved her head in support of her friend who was just recently diagnosed with cancer. Now, initially, when reports came out about this ridiculous decision, the academy was going to stand by their decision. They were very, very defiant. But after there was a second wave of media criticism, they're like, oh, wait a minute, there was a little bit of a mistake. In fact, we're going to allow her to come back to school. But this is an example of an issue we're seeing in many schools, the issue of zero tolerance policies. Basically, policies that don't allow people to use human judgment when it comes to certain cases. Now, in the case of 9-year-old Kamryn, she apparently broke their dress code. And their dress code is there for a reason. They want to ensure that students don't do anything or wear anything that will serve as a distraction in this educational environment. But look, if someone is doing something to support their friend who has just been diagnosed with cancer, you need to use human judgment and be supportive of that person. Now, my biggest issue with zero tolerance policies is that these are people, administrators and teachers, that are getting paid to teach our students how to think. At the same time, they're being supportive of policies that prevent them from thinking or using human judgment. And that's kind of weird, and it doesn't make any sense at all. At the same time, you're treating some students as if they're criminals or as if they're bad people for doing things that are either supportive or natural or normal. Part of adolescence is going through a rebellious phase. And I'm not saying that you have to tolerate every rebellious thing a young person does, but you also have to come to an understanding that that's how a young person matures, by doing things that might be mistakes and learning from those mistakes. But we're not creating an environment where people are allowed to do those things. We're creating this authoritarian environment where if a student does anything that might be perceived as a little provocative, hell no, we got to ban you or suspend you or expel you, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And also another thing that I find kind of interesting is how we're now putting more and more police officers on our campuses, which is crazy because that creates this weird hostile environment where students are unable to learn. You want them to be free. You want them to feel as though they can express themselves and how unique they are. But now we're obsessed with uniformity and making sure that we don't stir the pot. Look, one of the biggest issues we have in the country is political apathy. People are apathetic to some of the biggest issues that are violating our Constitution at this very moment. And as a result, our politicians are having a field day. They get to violate as many of our rights as possible, and we just sit around and we get distracted and we don't want to stir the pot at all. And it's absolutely mind-blowing to me that it starts at a young age where we teach young people, hey, you know what? Know your role, shut your mouth, don't do anything that might be considered abnormal, and that's it. You won't get into any trouble. Finally, one thing that I do want to point to is how bullying is a really big problem in schools right now. But when it comes to the issue of bullying, teachers and administrators would rather brush that issue under the rug and be inactive. They don't do anything about it. And that's the easy way to handle the situation, right? And the same goes for zero tolerance policies. They won't do anything when it comes to bullies, but they'll really lay down the law when it comes to stupid things like a young girl shaving her head. And I'm not saying that what she did was stupid. I'm saying that their reaction to that young girl was stupid. And if you're not convinced yet that zero tolerance policies are so stupid, I have some examples for you that'll blow your mind. So one Colorado student, a 5th grade girl, was actually arrested for sexual harassment after repeatedly asking a classmate if he liked her. This is a 5th grader arrested for sexual harassment. And by the way, that kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If you're 10 years old and all the adults around you tell you that you're some sort of sexual deviant. Another case involved a Jonesboro, Arkansas 1st grader who was suspended for pointing a breaded chicken finger at a teacher and saying pow. Wow, we really, really need to lay down the law when it comes to these guys, right? But when it comes to bullies, we just pretend as though the issue doesn't exist. If this doesn't make you mad, I don't know what does. Teachers need to use human judgment. If they don't know how to think on a school campus, then they shouldn't be teaching.